Welcome to this episode of YouTube where we are sharing a time of remembrance of one of our dear colleagues, Rebecca Mesa. And it's with heavy heart that we share the sad news that Rebecca passed away from a courageous 2-year battle with cancer. And one of the things that we can say about Rebecca is she always maintained a bright spirit and a love of animals, and certainly a dedication to wolves, to wolf events, to the members, to her colleagues, and her dedication to our Ambassador Wolf program. Rebecca was a member of the 2012 pup care team, and certainly her dedication to our mission and our opportunity to share with her those intimate moments that occur while raising pups will always be treasured. And again, one of her favorite experiences was serving as a pup nanny for Ambassador Wolf's Luna and Boltz, and Rebecca will be deeply missed by everyone here at the center and anyone who had the privilege to know her. Her life touched us in so many ways, and it's such an honor to have known her. And so with that, I share some footage that gives us a time to reflect, and a time to reflect about some of the misinformation that we've seen about wolves. And this video clip actually is showing a different side of wolves than what people may typically recognize. And this is the social nature of this carnivore. And this is Boltz and Denali in grooming behavior. Boltz on the right, Denali on the left. And one of the things that people often forget when they're studying this pack animal is that there are cooperative efforts and there are social bonds that are associated with pack dynamics and pack interaction. Obviously, they are predators, they are carnivores, they do kill to consume, but they have a significant amount of behavior that relates to social bonding that allows them to work together as a cooperative group. So this strategic cooperation is built by these bonding moments. And so this time of the year, in April, we start to see the prolactin hormone pick up. And even though that we don't have pups on site this year, we won't get pups until the 4-year rotation in 2016, we're starting to see some of that influence of the cyclical hormonal changes. And so you'll see, like I say, grooming behavior that Denali's doing here, and certainly the proximity of these two really does demonstrate that social part of the carnivore that often is left out of the media or left out of the stories or legends. And so one of the benefits, again, of Socialized Wolf Exhibit is that we have that opportunity to share this with the public. And this is going on right in front of the window. And certainly we do see, as I said, a period of time when this social behavior will be stronger than other times of the year, and that's the typical April through August. Well, and then there's other behaviors that still show up, and this is Luna doing a standover Boltz, and this is a passive show of dominance. So compared to the typical muzzle bite, scruff bite, wrestle, pin to the ground kind of behavior, this is just a passive way to say, I'm still your pack leader. So she goes over to Boltz. He does the classic ignore, and then she's going to go demonstrate the same behavior to Denali. The only difference with Denali is Denali's chewing on a bone, and so Luna is going to do a little bit of a more possessive behavior where she's going to try to take over possession of that bone. And in this case, she just moves right in, she stands there, and that show of dominance is enough for her to take possession and take ownership off of that bone. And so these behaviors are still dominance related. They're just a little bit more subtle than you would find in the wintertime. So again, there's still social behavior there, even though there's a little bit of overt dominance behavior there. But Luna, being the only female, does tend to have a little bit more dominance displays as the dominant female, obviously being the only female. And so, like I say, you see these kind of strategic planned maneuvers, and she does eventually get it. Denali tries to do a threat display and goes into a little bit more passive jaw sparring, And again, Luna actually goes into a submission there, not so much to submit, but it just gets her closer and closer as she maneuvers over to the bone. So again, that's a pretty good strategy there, and Luna does quite well. But part of this is also stimulated by the fact that if you look at these coats, they still have very, very thick winter coats, but the temperatures have really started to climb. We've had above average temperatures in the 70s. We've had red flag warnings. Fire activity is picking up. It's hot. It's hot for wolves that have a winter coat. So when it's 50 or 60 and we finally are in our t-shirts thinking spring's here, wolves are panting thinking, I have way too much hair for this kind of weather. And typically they will shed that hair, but not until usually May. So when we get these early April, or in 2012 we had March weather like this, it becomes extremely, extremely warm for the wolves. So the wolves aren't the only ones kind of on the move. The ravens have been active, and this is actually, yes, a deer hide in a tree. Ravens have been picking things up and dropping things from the sky. And speaking of things dropping out of the sky, there's an eagle, and this is in Grizzer's east side den. So the eagles, we have migratory eagles and we have eagles that winter. The eagles that winter have been kind of hanging out all winter, but the migratory eagles coming back to try to fish or to try to, again, be active around water are running into frozen lakes. So we've got snow gone, but we still have some ice on the lakes, and so that means the eagles are going to start to be looking for food resources. And this one just happened in on Grizzer's pen, where there's a deer head nearby. Actually, there's a deer leg on the den as well. So it's curious, and it fortunately got enough lift that it could get in and out of there. A few years ago, we had an eagle that didn't make it out of Grizzer's enclosure. We had to take him out ourselves because he got kind of stuck in the chain link fence. So in this case, these kind of things will be less and less. The occurrence will be less and less as the water opens up and eagles can resume to fishing and finding other resources other than scavenging. So that's it for YouTube. Again, we honor the work that Rebecca has done for the center, for our members, for our colleagues, and we certainly know that we always have a place in our heart for her dedication to the wolves, the center, her colleagues, and we know that she's walking with wolves now, and we miss her dearly.